Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, Horrorboy 465, aka Nate Murphy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and I'll be right back. My phone is ringing.
And I am Steve from RedBand Cast on the RedBand Cast YouTube channel, also on vid.me if you have a chance to go there. I have maybe one video on there. You're probably familiar with nothing that I've done, but that's okay because I love you regardless. And today we're sponsored by Gold Peak Green Tea. Gold Peak. It's the peak of your morning.
Okay, I'm back. I just got a phone call right when we started the stream.
That's okay. I already introduced myself, and I mentioned that today we are sponsored by Gold Peak Green Tea.
We got sponsors. We got sponsors. All right. I sponsor this Big K Lemon Lime Cranberry Soda.
Good gosh.
It doesn't have any subtitles, so yeah, just drink it. It might taste good. I don't know.
Big K. Big K. After you drink it, you'll say, that was okay.
That was A-okay. That's still terrible. That's just why when it's live, you can't edit this stuff out. I'll be like, edit that out, but you know, it's all right. We get on here everyone. It's fine. That's what's the fun part about doing streams like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to welcome Steve to the stream, and I wanted to thank him for being a part of the stream because it's been a minute since we've done a stream, so it's really cool to get back on here and to talk about. First, I want to talk about just a couple of newer stuff that we've seen. Then I want to get into the Child's Play franchise part 2. Talk about where we leave off on Seed of Chucky.
Yeah, I think we left off on Seed of Chucky. I didn't even get to really talk about anything past part 3, but hey, I don't care.
We can start on Bride because I don't remember talking about Bride that much.
Oh yeah,
I think I was like, Bride's all right, and I ended the stream. So it's okay. Bye guys. See you in part 2. No, but we'll do Bride of Chucky, just a quick little run through that, and we'll get to see of Chucky and Curse, and then talk about a little bit about Cult. But Steve, what are some newer movies that you checked out, seen recently, and you really enjoyed, or anything that you've seen recently?
Well, the most recent movie I checked out was the new Star Wars movie. Have you seen it yet, Nate?
No, I have not. I am so far behind.
Okay.
I have not seen one. I have not seen this one.
Okay. Well, Rogue One you definitely want to see. I think it's the best one that they put out since they started this new sort of Star Wars thing that they're doing. Mm-hmm. But right now, as far as what this movie is concerned, there's so many things I want to say, but so many things I don't really want to say because I don't want you to be spoiled. But here's what I can say is that I definitely had fun with it. I had a good time in the theater. It's certainly fun. I don't agree. I agree with about 20% of the choices that they've made in this movie. As far as the direction of the series and the direction of the characters and stuff. But you know what? There was it was certainly fun. And if nothing else, I think you should see it just to continue on the sort of Star Wars train. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this series after The Last Jedi. But yeah, that's basically what I've got. It's got a lot of stuff wrong with it, but
I've heard a lot of controversy surrounding it. Like some people have even said it's worse than Phantom Menace. And I'm like, how can it be worse than Phantom Menace?
All right, so here's my opinion on it is in one of my 3 least favorite ones that they've ever made. But so my least favorite one is Attack of the Clones. That's
pretty bad too.
Kind of goes without saying, it's pretty bad. And then my number 2 is Phantom Menace, and I still kind of like a little bit about Phantom Menace. I like Darth Maul. Darth Maul is really cool. I like.
Darth Maul awesome.
yeah, I like Qui-Gon Jinn. You know, that's about it. and then this is just a little bit better, I think, than Phantom Menace. It's got a few things I like, a lot of things I dislike, but you know, if they can recoup this and kind of pull a Revenge of the Sith on us, because I actually kind of like Revenge of the Sith. I think that's an okay movie. But if they can at least make that movie a little bit better than Revenge of the Sith, I'll be probably relatively happy with what they've done. But yeah, this is I don't know what they're gonna do going forward. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the movie. I mean, obviously Star Wars gets a lot of hype and stuff like that when it comes out. I really do want to see Rogue One. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. Definitely a movie I want to check out. I have not just checked out yet. It's on Netflix, so I might give it a watch sometime this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting down, just going to the movies, and I see it, I'll just check it out. But yeah, I mean, I heard that the movie, I heard that it was taking some new steps. That's how I can describe it. Taking new steps, but a lot of them weren't the greatest, and I have heard it being compared to like Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. I've heard people say it's their least favorite, and I've heard people say it's like one of those movies where I've heard a lot of hate on it, and then I've heard a lot of great stuff. Like people have given it 5 stars, some people have given it like, yeah, this movie's great, it's perfect, it's better than. I could have sworn I think I read a critic review that said that it was better than Empire. I'm not kidding. I think I seen a video or a review where somebody said. Now I'm not going to judge anybody's opinion because we all have opinions, but it's just so crazy how it's like it's so balanced on that. Either you go either way. I mean, either you don't like the movie or you do like the movie. And I've heard that if you do like the movie, you love the movie. But that's like the first time I've ever heard somebody say, it's fun, but like a lot of times I've heard either it's fantastic or it's great, which is a lot of what the critics say, and then like the fans and the audience, general audience, is like, pretty bad. But I'll give it a watch. I've heard one spoiler already, and I did not want to hear it. But I watched the review, and he said it like out loud and screamed it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it was a pretty big spoiler, and I learned it, and I did not want to know it, and it broke my heart. I did not expect it to happen, but man, I wish I did not hear no spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard stuff about it. I'll check it out. As far as the original trilogy goes, I grew up with the original trilogy. I love the original movies. Prequels, believe it or not, The Phantom Menace is probably the first Star Wars movie I watched. And when I was a kid, I used to like it. But I revisited it, didn't like it. Revisited Attack of the Clones. I can't really remember it that great, so I'll rewatch it. Episode 3, I guess, Revenge of the Sith. It depends on how you look at it, because if it's remastered, it's Episode 3. If it's not remastered, it's a prequel movie. But Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I remember being okay. I remember it being a decent movie.
Yeah.
Are there any other movies that you've seen recently or checked out recently? The Marvel stuff? The DC stuff?
Well, let's see. I didn't see Justice League, and I'm probably going to wait for video for that one. I do have to say, I saw Wonder Woman, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought Wonder Woman was fantastic. I thought it's the best thing that DC's put out for a long time. Like, the best DC-related live-action stuff since the Dark Knight trilogy. That's what I think. I thought it was fantastic. And then I'm talking about Wonder Woman. But as far as Justice League, I haven't seen it. I have a friend who said he liked it, so I'll go check it out with small expectations, maybe, or wait for video. So that's basically what I'm doing with that.
I haven't seen this movie either. I haven't even seen Wonder Woman yet.
Yeah,
I'm not a big superhero movie guy. I'll check one out here, there, sometimes. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
they come out so fast that it's like by the time I watch one movie, there's like 3 more that come out, and I'm like, I don't really feel like watching them right now. Like a lot of them I haven't seen yet, and then I've skipped a lot of them. So I don't want to watch Justice League, or I don't want to watch Captain America: Civil War because I'm like, I missed all these movies. I don't want to. So I gotta get caught up, but
yeah,
I don't know. I like him. I like Suicide Squad. Believe it or not. I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. Loved that. Loved it so much. It was a great movie.
Guardians 2 is really good as well. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, I've seen Volume. That's what I've seen. I've seen Volume 2. I did not see Part 1 yet, but Volume 2 was really great. I loved it. And I still got to check out the first movie.
Yeah. I want to see Thor. I want to see Thor Ragnarok, but I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's basically like Guardians of the Galaxy, but with Thor. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting combo.
Yeah.
Did you see it yet?
I have seen it. I really liked it. I thought it was a pretty darn good movie. I thought it was, it didn't scare me very much, but, there were a ton of teeny boppers in the theater that were definitely really freaked out. And so, I had that to go through. I liked it. Really good cinematography, really good acting. I really liked Bill Skarsgård. I thought he did a great job as Pennywise. It is, just from an adaptation standpoint, it's 10 times the movie that the original is.
Yeah.
But entertainment-wise, I'd say it's about equal. I love both of those movies. Maybe on a personal level, I might like the new one just a little bit better because I think it deals with the themes a little bit better, and I think it's a little bit more accurate. I do like the fact that they sort of moved it up to 1989 as opposed to like the mid-50s. I kind of like that choice, just stylistically.
Right.
But I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. I checked it out back when it, first came out and was being hyped up. And when I first heard about it, I was honestly not looking forward to it because I was like, it's going to be another readaptation. Which, I'll admit this, I was going into it when I first heard about it as if it was a remake. Now, the thing about a readaptation is that it's not necessarily a remake because, first of all, even though there was an original adaptation of it, that's not a remake of that adaptation. It's a reimagination, a reamp, a redoing of the story into an actual film. And plus, the original movie wasn't actually a movie. It's actually a TV miniseries, but I think it plays out like a movie. That's why people say, oh, it's a movie. It's not really a movie. It's a TV, at best, a TV movie. But if you could even say that, I mean, it was shown in parts. So the thing about that is, like, when it came out and I was like, it's not. And then I kept saying remake. And people was like, it's not a remake. So people luckily talked to me and I was like, yeah, I agree. I'll go into it with open mind. So the trailer came out. Watched the trailer and I was very impressed by it. When it came out, I went and seen it with an open mind. And to be honest, guys, I have a review up. I really enjoyed it. I thought quality-wise, it was much more better. Cinematography-wise, it was better. Direction-wise, it was better. Of course, Tim Curry's Pennywise is a little bit more better, a little bit more iconic than Bill Skarsgård's. But, Bill did his own thing with it, and I like that. He went off on his own sort of serious sort of undertone, but also that sinister sort of humor that Pennywise has. I liked how he played Pennywise, and acting was great. I mean, just in general, I liked the movie. I thought it was really good. Definitely gonna pick it up on DVD one day, maybe even Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, and I would say I'm definitely probably gonna pick it up on either DVD or Blu-ray when it comes out. But yeah, I know it's on digital right now, and that might just be the way that I ought to own it. But it's a good movie, and if there's anybody out there listening who hasn't seen that movie, I think you should definitely go give it a try. It's worth your money. It's worth your money for even just a rental or something like that. It's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as anything else that I've seen, Anything besides that, I don't remember seeing anything else really in the theaters besides that. So, sorry, I forgot one of the really big ones. The one that I think is probably, at least from my opinion, the best movie I saw this year, which is Coco. Yeah, Coco is the new Disney Pixar movie, and it's fantastic. I really, really enjoy it. It's got a little bit of a it's not really quite to say a horror twist, but it's got a supernatural twist, which is that it focuses on the Mexican tradition of Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, and this kid has to he gets trapped in the spirit world, and he has to find one of his nearest relatives to help get him out. But it's a really good movie. It's all about family dynamic, family values. It's probably the most important message movie that I've seen this year. I thought it was really good, very fun, really funny. It'll tug at your heartstrings like none other. It's great as far as that's concerned. They take that whole mantra that Walt Disney had, which is for every laugh there should be a tear. They do that perfectly. Coco's worth your money. If you want to go see it in theaters, it's worth, like, even if you just want to go for a matinee, you'll probably cry. It's good. It's got great music in it. Great music. And just some really good themes. I like it. There's even, like, it's a little bit more of a harder edged movie than a lot of, like, Disney Pixar movies, because there's a little bit of drinking in it. There's, like, basically these images of promiscuity a little bit, and there's references to the great Latina artist Frida Kahlo, who I personally am not a big fan of. I don't know. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Wow, sounds interesting. I've seen a bunch of trailers for it, and it seems fun. I know this is gonna sound like really crazy, but believe it or not, I have seen more, like, just out of interest, because they look like generally good movies. I've seen more movies than Marvel and DC movies. I know it's pretty sad, but honestly, Zootopia, really enjoyed. Really enjoyed. Pets, really enjoyed. I've seen all these movies and I've been really enjoying them. I have not seen Moana, just didn't really feel like watching it. Did not see Finding Dory, but I've seen, like, a couple of these other Pixar movies, stuff like that, and I really enjoyed them. They've been really good. And I don't know, maybe it's just because some of the ideas caught my attention, and I know it's pretty crazy. I've seen more of those than Marvel and DC, but Marvel and DC, first of all, DC is going through some tough times right now. I don't know what's going on with DC. I want to do a video one day talking about both Marvel and DC, but a lot of DC movies that I've seen, I mean, I've heard Wonder Woman's pretty good, but I heard that Justice League was pretty bad. And Batman vs. Superman, I mean, back when I did a review on it, I said it was all right, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Marvel is just, whatever they're doing, I think it's just because they're releasing movies faster and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll talk about that when we get to that video one day. But yeah, pretty much like Steve, I haven't really, I mean, I've seen a couple of the movies that's come out recently. I haven't really seen too many of them. Did not see Star Wars. I don't know if I'm going to see Jurassic Park or Jurassic World 2. I'm not sure. But yeah, I haven't really seen too many newer movies. I've been watching, like, I watched Conjuring 2, Phantom of the Opera, Nosferatu. I haven't really been watching a lot of newer stuff, so I'll check out some stuff when I get to it. But to continue on with our Child's Play discussion, which we left off around Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, somewhere right there. So we covered the first three movies and covered the third movie, or the fourth movie a little bit. But we'll recover it if you want to, because I don't really remember talking too much about part 4. I just remember talking about it for a second in the video. So I think we're going to hop back onto part 4 and see what we can say about Bride of Chucky, and then we'll continue from there. So, Steve, what are your thoughts on the fourth movie in the Child's Play franchise, Bride of Chucky?
All right, so this is going to be interesting because when I first started this with you, when we were talking about the Child's Play franchise, I probably even said, and I may have talked a little bit about like my opinions on Bride of Chucky, which were largely positive. Back then, I was a fan of Bride of Chucky because I'd seen it maybe 2-3 times, and I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was stylistically good and all that stuff. And then after our discussion, I rewatched Bride of Chucky, and yeah, it's very different. My opinions are very different, mostly just because I think that maybe as a guy gets older and is able to watch different things, maybe he becomes less discerning. I mean, more discerning and less less forgiving. I think that's what happened to me. That the characters are so paper thin. Like if they're anagrams of Romeo and Juliet, they're the worst Romeo and Juliets ever.
Pretty bad. No lie. Terrible.
Yeah. There's not a single really good character in it. There's a lot of like good unintentional laughs and maybe even a few intentional laughs, but I've kind of gotten to the point in my, sort of horror fandom where I kind of don't want to like the villain. I don't really want to like the villain. And in Bride of Chucky, I kind of have to like the villain because
nobody else.
There's nobody else to like. And, I kind of like the Tiffany character. I think she's interesting in that, she's she's kind of just caught in a crazy situation. She's a little crazy herself, but more than anything, it's just that she has a crazy boyfriend, and that's Chucky. And so she has to deal with that. And I don't know. I've kind of grown disenfranchised with Bride of Chucky at this point, and I kind of feel bad about that because I used to really like it. I still like some of the lighting choices and the cinematography choices, although I think they don't quite match what the movie really should be going for. Right. I like some of the funny references, like when he kills the dude and like has got like nails sticking out all over his face, and he's like, "Where have I seen that before?" And it basically just like looks like Pinhead. That's kind of funny. Yeah. I like it when Chucky and Tiffany sort of like bicker back and forth. I think that's funny. I don't know. There's some stuff that I like, some stuff that I don't like. It's sort of a middle of the road one for me. It's a little bit better, I think, than Child's Play 3. That's just my opinion. That's about it. That's about it for me on that one.
Well, it's not like weird that that you've sort of changed opinions, because I've heard a lot of people say that they've changed opinions on the movie, and me myself, I've also, while watching it, just been like, either I'll dislike it a little bit more or I'll like it a little bit more. I think it's just one of those movies because you look at this film, it's the part 4. It's the beginning of when the films are just called Chucky. They're not called Child's Play anymore. They're called Chucky, and they start experimenting with, okay, so let's get away from the seriousness of it and let's get more towards the comedic tone. And for me, Bride of Chucky, I thought handled it a lot better than Sea of Chucky. I'm so sorry, but I'm not a big fan of Sea of Chucky, and we got to talk about that movie next. I hate that movie, but Bride of Chucky is a movie that I seen a while ago for the first time, and I was like, this is honestly a pretty fun movie. If I'd watch it now, I'd say it's an okay, decent, fun time. I personally would not think it's a little bit more better than Child's Play 3. I think Child's Play 3 is way better, but I think that Bride of Chucky, it is a decent, fun time, but there's some really big problems with it. I mean, the comedy I thought worked for most of the time. There were some jokes that really sometimes didn't work, that fell flat, but a lot of times the comedy worked. My problem with the movie is like what you said, like the acting and the characters, they're just all bad. They're all bland. They're all terrible. It's literally like Freddy versus Jason cast. This is Freddy versus Jason cast right here. And that's the best I can put it with. And it's the same freaking director. So I don't know if he doesn't know how to direct younger teens or younger adults. I don't know. But Freddy versus Jason, the same problem. The cast is just terrible. And even that, I can say, it had a little bit more of a better cast because, even though I'm not a fan of it, it felt like it had more personality than this cast because literally this cast is literally they're two lovebirds and like they try to put every cliche in there. Like, oh, he's trying to marry her. And, like, you got this sort of subplot going on along with Chucky having this amulet storyline, which I'm like, where'd this come from? It kind of came out of nowhere because he didn't need an amulet in the past movies. So when the amulet came to play, I have to have this amulet into my grave. I'm like, well, then why in the previous movie did he do that? So that was kind of thrown in there. Me personally, I know a lot of people don't like the look, but I think the look of Chucky in the movie is pretty awesome. The scarred up face, really enjoyed that look. The sort of Frankenstein leather face look to it, I enjoyed it. The sort of undertone of Bride of Frankenstein, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie Bride of Frankenstein. I have the movie Bride of Frankenstein, but I haven't seen it yet. And I don't know. I've heard that it's a positive for some people, it's a negative for some people. For what it is, I guess, for what it is in the plot line, it was okay.
Do you mind if I jump in real quick?
I don't care. It's
okay. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about the Bride of Frankenstein thing because I'm a huge fan of Bride of Frankenstein. I think it's the best movie that the not Marvel, but that the Universal monster movies ever put out. I think it's the best movie they've ever made. It's probably the best movie that James Whale ever made in his rather good career. He does have a really good career. I mean, the guy did not the original, but like the second adaptation of Showboat, which is probably the best. He did The Old Dark House. He did the original Frankenstein. He did The Invisible Man. These are masterpieces of different. These are like 4 masterpieces of relatively different types of movies. And I think Bride of Frankenstein is fantastic. It's amazing, like everything. But here's the thing about Bride of Chucky as compared to Bride of Frankenstein, is that it's basically just a surface comparison. I like the fact that they put it in there, but they don't use it to the degree that they ought to. It's really sort of half-hearted, and I don't like that about it. But, I get it because I know Don Mancini, here's the thing, just to talk frankly. Don Mancini is a guy who's made his entire career on one franchise. Yeah, he did Cellar Dweller. Who cares about Cellar Dweller? Who's seen Cellar Dweller? I mean, I've seen a little bit of Cellar Dweller, but here's the thing. He's made it on one franchise. The guy is an okay writer. People put him up there because, he's been loyal to his franchise, and that I can respect about the guy. He's definitely loyal, but he's not that great a writer. And it's obvious that he just loves Bride of Frankenstein. And he's obviously a lover of queer cinema, is what people would consider, Bride of Frankenstein to be one of the first artistic representations of queer cinema. Don Mancini's a gay man. He loves Bride of Frankenstein. If you see Seed of Chucky, it is an anagram of Glenn or Glinda by Ed Wood, who also loved Bride of Frankenstein. And the thing is that, he tries to sort of shove that in here. In the first 3 movies, I can give him this much, that he really tried to work with his own sort of story. He wanted to do his own stuff. And then you get into these more postmodern adaptations, and he feels the need to bring in his influences, which frankly just don't work. It just doesn't work with Chucky. Chucky isn't a postmodern type of thing, even though a lot of people seem to be really big fans of Bride and Seed. I don't know. I can't stand that aspect of the movie. Now, yeah, I like certain things about this movie, but the whole Bride of Frankenstein thing seems way too half-hearted for me. And it just seems like it's shoehorned in there. So that's sort of my opinion on that.
Right. Well, I don't know if it's because I haven't seen Bride of Frankenstein yet, but I think maybe if I see that, I'll probably get... Because, like, people have compared it to that, and I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. So, but maybe when I see it, I'll see what you mean because I haven't seen that or the original Frankenstein yet. I've seen Dracula, love Dracula, but not both of them actually. So I'll maybe give them a watch. But yeah, I just heard that that's sort of like an undertone to the movie. But yeah, I mean, with the movie, tone-wise, I really enjoyed it. Cinematography-wise, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how the director makes his movies, the style of it, the darkness of it. I really like that. Certain character designs like Chucky, Tiffany, didn't mind the designs of Chucky and Tiffany. Humor was actually pretty good in this movie. Wasn't really too annoying as it is in the movie we're about to talk about next. But yeah, the movie Bride Chucky is pretty fun. I mean, it's got some pretty bloody segments in the movie. The end of the movie is pretty fun, where the couple fights back and kills them, and then you have the ending of the movie where Glenda, and it sets up for the sequel, and that's what we're talking about next. So, you got any closing thoughts on Bride of Chucky, man?
I think I've said pretty much most of the stuff that I think about it. You brought up good points in that, it's got a really good style as far as the tone, the look of the film. Some of the editing I'm not a fan of. It's that MTV type of
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that I can bring up too. I mean, now that you say that, it does sort of have that MTV quick cut, zoom in shots, stuff like that. All the fast editing, that gets a little bit annoying too. I think that's why I like Nightmare on Elm Street 4, because he can do that kind of editing really good. That's like one of the very few movies I like that kind of editing in.
Yeah, and I even like it in like Halloween 6 personally. That's just my opinion, but I don't like it in here for some reason. It strikes an interesting balance in Halloween 6, but in here I don't like it. One thing I do also like about it is I think it's got an interesting soundtrack, like the industrial and kind of like post grunge kind of soundtrack that it's got to it. I like that music. That's like some of the only good music that Rob Zombie ever did is on it's on this movie, and it's on Escape from LA, and that's about it. So
yeah, I love the soundtrack too. It got some really great stuff. I don't really know. I mean, the movie, it's definitely changed opinion wise for me throughout the years, and it's changed opinion wise with other people as well. It's just one of those movies. Sometimes when you watch it, you're either in a great mood and you're having fun with it. Other times you watch it, and you're like, meh, it's all right. But overall, the movie is fun. It's decent. It's a fun time. It's not boring. It's not, laughably bad. It's not terrible or anything like that. It's honestly a pretty decent and fun movie. So to close that discussion out, let's get into Sea of Chucky, the 5th movie in the franchise, and I'm probably not going to enjoy this segment talking about Sea of Chucky. I hate Sea of Chucky. I despise this movie. This is a movie that makes me mad. While I'm watching, it makes me mad because literally Don Mancini took the comedic tone and just went boom through the roof with the Chucky character. Sorry, man. I know a lot of people have fun with Sea of Chucky. People say it's great. People say it's fun. They say it's one of the best ones. I don't know why. Well, I'm watching it. I'm watching it. And I'm just thinking, man, this movie it really is damaging Chucky's career. It really, for me, it is. The way that it looks, the way that it's shot, directed it, and I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of his direction with Seed of Chucky, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the shots are bad. The sets look fake as heck, and like, did not care for the soundtrack in this movie. Did not care. Literally, the only thing that's good about this movie is Chucky when he's delivering really great. Brad Dourif is fun in the movie. That's the thing. Brad Dourif is great. Tiffany is okay. All right. Jennifer Tilly plays herself. Supposed to be comedic. I didn't really care for it, but Tiffany, the 3 puppets did okay. The rest of this cast is awful. You have RedBand, you have Jennifer Tilly, you have a bunch of other. Oh God, it's terrible. I hate it. But anyway, Steve, what's your thoughts on it? Because I'm just gonna blow up on this movie.
Oh,
I gotta keep this.
It's awful. It's horrible. It's like it is the zenith of like the postmodern movies that sort of started with Scream, the postmodern horror movies. Those types of movies that really started with Scream. It's the zenith of those movies being bad because it takes postmodernism to its worst degree possible, where everything is cynical. There's no heart to anything in it. And the only character that you're supposed to have like any type of real connection to is this really weird representation of transgenderism that, even if you're all right, well, let's just say that you are okay with the whole transgender thing, and I'm not gonna put my stance on here either way. But if you are for transgenderism, this is a horrible representation of a transgender. This person, this creature, is horrible. Like, one side of it is obviously evil. And I think that could be because of a quote-unquote queer bias that, what's his name, Don Mancini has. A lot of gay people don't really like transgenders because it takes away from the idea of homosexuality to them. There's a lot of people who have that sort of bias, and I think Don Mancini might have had that originally. I don't know what his opinions are now. I don't really care, and I don't really care. I don't care if you know or like any of my opinions on it. I just think that overall, it's a bad character. Chucky's really at his worst here. Like, this is like Brad Dourif, just because he likes the character and just because he gets a paycheck is the reason that he's here. That's the only reason I feel he's here, and I dislike it. I dislike it a lot. Jennifer Tilly, she's not good. She's not good in the movie as herself. She's not good as Tiffany.
I thought she was. The reason I say that Chucky and Tiffany are decent is because the rest of the characters are just really bad.
In comparison,
yeah, they're all right. I would agree with that. They're both at their worst.
Yeah, but like you were saying, yeah, in comparison, they may as well be freaking a Laurence Olivier, but they're not. in reference even to Bride of Chucky, which we have just said our opinions. It's okay. Even in comparison to that, they're not that good. Oh man, who else was there? Like, RedBand's awful. Like, why do people cast rappers? Why do people cast rappers? There's no good reason for.
I don't know. That was like a trend at the time, wasn't it? Like, H2O had it. Halloween Resurrection had it. A lot of horror movies were doing this at the time.
Well, like, here's the thing. LL Cool J in Halloween H2O didn't do too bad a job, but I think that's because he actually studied freaking acting.
Yeah, I thought that LL Cool J was pretty fun, and I know I'm going to get some heat for saying this. If you minus out the scene with Busta Rhymes and him saying, I'm talking to Michael Myers and stuff like that, I honestly thought Busta Rhymes did a okay job in Resurrection. If you minus out that stuff, if you include those scenes are so cringy to watch. But I think overall performance, I'm not really a big fan of Resurrection, but that was, he didn't do bad. Well, I think it was just some of the lines he was given.
Yeah. I think overall it's the writing in that movie, but in this movie it's everything. It's bad writing, it's bad direction, it's bad casting. Everything's bad. I mean, first off, who remembers RedBand? Who the heck was he at the time? And like, who knows him now? Frankly, I don't know.
Wasn't in the movie he was doing like a Romeo and Juliet kind of movie or whatever?
Yeah, he was gonna direct and star in his own like Romeo and Juliet. No, he was gonna star in. Okay, and you'll be a big fan of this one. both of us ought to be big fans of this one, is like an adaptation of the Christmas story, like the Nativity, where like he wanted to have a sexy and not pregnant Mary. So so first off, Don Mancini clearly grew up Catholic and did not like his Catholic upbringing. Just gonna say it. I don't know anything about the guy's life. I'm thinking he grew up Catholic. Or that somebody in his life was Catholic and hurt him. And so now he has to rage against the Catholic machine because, you know, Catholicism has all this reverence for Mary. And, you know, he's just going to reduce it down to this whole, man, she got to be sexy or whatever. I'm sure that impression was incredibly racist, but I'm sorry for that. Yeah, it's awful. It's horrible. Everything about that movie. Here's the thing so I'm not a big John Waters fan. I think the guy's a talented director and definitely has an interesting, weird sense of humor. But he's awful in this. He's horrible. It's like it's like Don Mancini, because this came out in 2004, right?
Yeah, it's like 2004. This came out.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say this real quick. For a 2004 movie, the DVD quality, pretty good.
Yeah. It is good, but the thing is that all the special effects are so crappy that it makes you feel like the DVD quality isn't even that good. That's just my opinion on it. But and here's the thing: is that I can't imagine the Blu-ray is much better, but I'll get to that later. We'll talk about like my ideas on Blu-ray sets of.
I almost broke my DVD box set because of this movie, but I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not letting this movie get to me. I'm not gonna break these other movies. This is a beautiful box set. I feel like ripping off like the Sea of Chucky part, just ripping that off the box. But you know, I'll leave it as it is. I'm not gonna let it get to me.
Yeah, but yeah, like even John Waters is bad in here. I hate his character. I hate his character of like a tabloid reporter.
Like thrown in there too. It was like random.
It's just like Don Mancini saw one John Waters movie and was really excited about it. Like he saw Pink Flamingos or Multiple Maniacs or something, and then he was just like really, really excited. Or I know what. He saw Hairspray and was like, dude, this guy's kind of interesting. So let's get this guy to come over here and be in my movie, and he'll just be snapping pictures of Chucky jerking off, and that'll be great. I hate that part of the movie. Everything about that movie is awful. And what's really weird is I find myself drawn to watching it every once in a while just to like remind myself how bad it is. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm really glad that I got the DVD set for a very small amount of money because I don't want to pay the money for this movie.
Man, I got rid of my old copy of Sea of Chucky. If not, I was gonna break it. I was looking at it. I looked over my shelf one day and I was like, I want to break this movie so bad. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, nah, I gotta keep my calm. So I got rid of it. Got the box set. Got mad because I seen Sea of Chucky right there. Boom. I just hate the movie. The movie is just, it's offensive as a Chucky fan because I'm actually a big fan of the franchise. Mm-hmm. The movies I feel are underrated. Like Part 3 is probably, I know that you're not really a big fan of it, but I feel it's one of the most underrated films I've seen. And like, you know, and Part 2 I love, Part 1 I love. I honestly really enjoyed the movie we're going to talk about next. But man, the movie just, I think, went way overboard with the comedy. And he went way overboard just trying to make it this crazy, out of control. Oh yeah, we're going to make this crazy, out of control movie that is off the hinges. Yeah, but the thing is, first of all, there's plot holes. There's parts of the movie doesn't make sense. There's parts of the movie where the comedy is just awful. You're having Chucky jerk off in a movie. And then, like, you're having it to where at the end of the movie, this is another plot hole. It's a 2004 movie, so I don't know why this would be a spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, real quick, guys, mute me for a second. But, yeah, then the movie, Chucky gets killed, but yeah, he's in a box. His arm is in a box. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to try and make this movie, try to make sense out of this movie. because I get mad every time I talk about this movie, but it's part of the discussion. It sucks. It's terrible. It's offensive as a Chucky fan to watch this movie. It is a big, big problem in this franchise, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's annoying and aggravating for me to watch it, and it's not funny. That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna make a movie, point in case, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you do comedy in a horror film. I would even say Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, those two movies. How to include comedy in a horror film. There's all kinds of movies I can reference. Part 6 of Friday the 13th. I would even say Part 5 to a degree. I would even say like freaking, I don't know. There's movies and franchises that have done comedy and have actually made it pretty entertaining. And I'm like, all right, this is how you do comedy in a good way. Certain Freddy movies. For me, I locked on Freddy's Dead. I know it's not the greatest movie of all time, but it's a fun movie in my opinion. Oh, and then just here I get to see Chucky, and it's like, man, this movie is it's not funny, it's irritating to watch, and it's terrible. Terrible. Freaking terrible. And I'm sorry, I've heard people say this is that Curse of Chucky is worse than this, or Call of Chucky is worse than this. I haven't seen Call of Chucky. It's on Netflix already. It came out on Netflix like the freaking day it got released. So I was like, wow. So I'll see Call of Chucky, and I'll probably do a review on that as soon as I can. But I'm sorry, Curse is way better than Seed. That's my final thoughts on Seed of Chucky. It sucks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here are my final thoughts on Seed of Chucky. It's just that, it's one of those movies that, first off, like, they haven't, and this kind of takes me off, about, like, so this kind of gets into a different discussion too, but so you got Child's Play, you got the first one, and it gets all these great special features and stuff like that, and gets like multiple re-releases. Shout Factory recently put out what I've heard is a really, really freaking good edition of Child's Play with like multiple commentaries and multiple special features that's already ported over from the other Blu-ray and DVD, with even more special features, a better transfer, all this different stuff.
Wow.
So they did that. And then look at like all four of the movies between the original Child's Play and Curse of Chucky. So Child's Play 2 and 3 have, like, frankly, it's the same video transfer on the Blu-rays, is what I've heard, as the DVD. And those are, frankly, bad DVD quality, I mean, you've got the DVD set that I have. You've got the same one. It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it should have been way better.
Yeah, honestly. They haven't done a darn thing to that. And here's the thing, that Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky both have relatively good transfers on DVD and Blu-ray, but they haven't gotten new special features. But they also have these great features already from like the original DVD releases. But 2 and 3 can't get great DVD special features. Like, I have no idea. All right, so this goes down another rabbit hole, but like, why hasn't Shout Factory licensed Child's Play 2 and 3 yet? Like, they have a good relationship with MGM and with Universal. Why not? Like, there's no good reason why they haven't done that.
Right.
That's actually why I hold out so hard on like getting the different Blu-ray box sets, because it doesn't feel complete yet, because they're still the same crappy version of parts 2 and 3. And you talked a little bit that how, like, you like part 3, and I'll reiterate that I don't really like much of part 3, but the opening of part 3 is fantastic. It's like, it's really well shot. Everything's really good in part 3 up until a certain point, I think. But anyway, like, at least it deserves some really good special features. Seed of Chucky doesn't deserve even what it's got. So, I don't know. Seed of Chucky sucks. It's awful, and I can't think of a better way to like describe what bad comedy horror is. is that. That's exactly what bad comedy horror is. And then, like, it's the opposite of something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And for some reason, I think that Seed of Chucky is, like, more beloved than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, or at least gets better reviews. Because, like, part 2...
I would never understand.
At least up until, like, recently, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 didn't have any good reviews until, like, people went back and said, oh, wait, Tobe Hooper was a freaking genius. And we're able to see that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a horrible movie, Seed of Chucky. Just awful.
Yeah. I think it's safer. I think it'll be good for us to get off this movie because if I don't, I'm gonna break something. So
it's bad for our souls.
Draining my energy right now. It's draining it out of my soul. But yeah, Sea of Chucky is awful, and I agree. I can't understand why Sea of Chucky, Bride of Chucky get all these features, but yet Child's Play 2, 3 can't get nothing. They haven't got anything for the longest time. DVD releases, it wasn't anything, so it sucks. But talk about the next movie, which I think is like over Sea of Chucky, and that is Curse of Chucky. Now, this is a 2013 film, I believe, and it took a while for 2013, 2014, around there.
It's 2014. It's 2013. You're right.
But it came out around 2013, and when it was announced, I was very excited because I was like, it's been a long time since the Child's Play movies come out, and it'll be cool to watch. It was about 9 years since the movie came out, so it would have been cool to see this movie. And I waited for the longest time to see this movie, and I seen it in 2014, so I seen it a year later after it came out. Movie, I went back and revisited it again, I think last year, and the first time I watched it, I really liked it. Watching it again, I think it's okay. Only because I think it has a great story behind it, actually a great approach to it. I like how Don Mancini said, all right, let's go back to the basics. Let's make it about the scares again. Let's make it about the horror again. I liked that, and I was looking forward to it. And, there was some stuff I liked. Honestly, this has better direction than Sea of Chucky. It has a better look to it than Sea of Chucky. I like Brad Dourif's daughter in the movie as a lead girl. I like Brad Dourif in the movie. Did a great job as Chucky. I like how Chucky is back to business and being a very menacing and serious character again. I like some of the story, the new stuff they got going on the story. I like how it had to be different. There's some problems with it, of course. There's plot holes. There's issues with it, including the design of Chucky, which before he gets his face pretty much ripped off, and you see the actor Chucky under it, you have like a weird covering over Chucky's face, and it's like it looks weird. So I'll just say that the design of Chucky is not that great when he has that fake skin on. But after that, back to the basic look, sort of that Frankenstein over face look of Chucky. But it was a better movie because I thought it was back to basics. It did the atmosphere very well. Slasher type film. It was okay. It was better than Sea of Chucky. I can say that. But it wasn't, I would say it's below Bride, below 3 and 2 and 1. It'd be like 1, 2, 3. That's literally how it would go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Curse, and then Seed. And I haven't seen Cult yet. But yeah, Curse is pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Curse of Chucky?
So it might just be that I haven't seen it as many times as you. So I'll admit bias there. But I really like it. I totally agree with you with like the face that they've got on Chucky. I never could stand that. I hate that. Like
it just looks so off.
Yeah, it looks awful. It looks awful. Like the little buck teeth and stuff. Yeah, just I'm not a fan. Not a fan. And here's the thing. I have no idea what Don Mancini did between Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky to get better. He must have made some freaking like student films and like gone back and back and back until he realized, oh, this is my problem. Maybe he took some writing classes or something like that. Like,
yeah, he definitely tried to improve himself.
he improved. And the thing is that, you know, if you compare Curse of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, it ain't even close. Curse of Chucky is 20 times better
I'll
than
admit
Seed
that.
of
Yeah,
Chucky. Like,
way,
there's,
way, way better.
oh yeah, yeah, like to an unholy degree. Like, you know, just it's crazy. Curse of Chucky's really, really good, I think, in that respect. I also think it's better than like a Child's Play movie deserves to be in 2013. Like a direct to DVD Child's Play movie in 2013 ought to suck. I mean, like, look at all the Puppet Master movies. Like, almost all of those are bad. Am I correct? Like, I haven't seen all of them, but
yeah, when they start getting the later movies, they're pretty bad. But some of the sequels actually are pretty surprisingly good. But yeah, especially like the later ones. Yeah, there's like 10 movies.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
it wasn't being Amityville.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good comparison. Like, really, it should be Amityville: The Awakening, which came out this year. Like, it should be that movie. It should be that bad, but it's not. Like, by serendipity or by the grace of God, Don Mancini made a really, really good movie, I think. And really, for me, next to the original Child's Play, it either goes for me like Child's Play 2, Curse of Chucky, or it goes Child's Play, Curse of Chucky, Child's Play 2. And it might just be because I'm a big fan of that sort of style of directing that he does, where it's kind of James Wan-ish, if you know what I mean. It's sort of back to basics, kind of a slow, plotting cinematography, kind of the stuff that you would see in a ghost story from the 70s or something.
Yeah, that was interesting how they implied that to this kind of movie.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they apply that to like a slasher, because for some reason I think it works.
Yeah,
I agree with you. There's a few plot holes in there, like what happens here, and I also am kind of thinking like, do they have to push this like whole, you know, these two lesbian characters together? Do you have to have that in there? Maybe you do, and I don't. Whatever, I don't care. But like, I don't know. It seems forced to me.
Yeah, I mean, they had it in Wrong Turn 4 too. I think they just did it because it's a lesbian couple.
Yeah,
Throw them in there.
they can show two chicks like, you know, sex FaceTiming each other.
Right,
basically.
right.
That's I think the reason they put it in there. But I don't know. It seemed forced. Also, I really dislike most of the characters here, but I think it's for good reasons. So like the wife is cheating.
Just like character, yeah, like character wise, like how their characters act.
Yeah, it's more like it's a well written kind of hatred for the characters. You know, it's because like the wife is cheating and she's a horrible person and all this stuff. I don't like what they were doing with the babysitter, which is sort of like implies that, oh, she's just sort of innocent in this. No, she's not. She's cheating. She's helping like this wife to cheat on a husband. And originally I had some like sympathy for the husband, but they did some good stuff where they, you know, sort of turned it around. He's kind of a creep too. I like that. The priest was in there for like a few minutes, which I guess is again like Don Mancini just like railing against the Catholic Church. Basically, that's the only reason the priest is in here, so he can get killed, and Don Mancini can feel good about cutting off a priest's head. So, but he actually does a good job in here while he's there. And you know, you were talking about Fiona Dourif. I think she does a fantastic job. She's really good. She's again like much better than the Child's Play franchise kind of deserves at this point. And Brad Dourif's good in it. I love the twists, like both of the twists that sort of happen at the end. I love both of those. Really, really well placed and stuff like that. I don't know. I like it a lot, and you know, I feel like maybe I should go back and maybe see if I can watch it before I watch Cult of Chucky, because I actually haven't watched it, despite the fact that I think it's probably my most anticipated movie of 2017. I still haven't seen it, and I know it's on Netflix, but like I just haven't been able to watch it. So that'll be something I do soon. But I kind of feel like I should watch Curse of Chucky before this to just see if I can think like, maybe it wasn't as good as I remember or something like that. But right now, my opinions are that it's a pretty darn good movie. So that's what I got
Yeah, I
going for me.
definitely agree with you. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. Like it's a massive improvement over. I think that the writing is better. I like the seriousness of it. I like some of the cameos they got for the movie, some returning characters. Um, it's overall a really good movie, and I think that why I enjoyed it like as much as I did is because hey, I think I enjoyed it because I was going into it just thinking, I'm just gonna go into an open mind, see if they can do it. I wasn't expecting awesome, great movie. I mean, it's an okay, decent movie. It's definitely far better than Sea of Chucky, but I agree with you, man. Some of that you mentioned, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Fiona Dorff. I really enjoyed Brad Dorff. I really enjoyed um, the twists. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed how it went back to basics. The like you said, James Wan style direction. I love that, and I love how they took it away from the supernatural stuff and made it from like the slasher film. I just love that, experimenting with that a little bit, and it was definitely better than like an average, straight to DVD horror film that came out that year. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Overall, my closing statements are I really enjoyed it. Well, from an okay standpoint, I don't think it's like a fantastic movie, but in my opinion, I think it's better than it's way compared to Sea of Chucky. It's a fantastic movie, but franchise wise, it's an okay movie. I think it's pretty well done. The acting is pretty good in it, and I enjoyed it. Good movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like a really fun movie. Really, I think it's pretty rewatchable. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like this is a little bit off topic, but like it seemed
Festival.
like that year for 2013. 2013 seemed like it was a relatively good year for horror movies, at least to me. This was like sort of at the height, like right before I got to a point where like I had a whole lot of other stuff to do, um, as far as like work and school and stuff. This is sort of the height of me being able to go to Hastings pretty much every weekend and rent a movie. And this is one of the movies I rented. I also ended up renting Hatchet 3, which came out the same year. I thought Hatchet 3 was the best movie that the Hatchet movies ever put out, but that's just, I know a lot of people who would disagree with me, and I think you
I have a
disagree with me
comment.
on that a little bit too. But
I have a
um,
comment for Hatchet in a minute, but I'll let you finish.
okay, but like Hatchet 3, and then they did like The Conjuring that year, um, and I think maybe Insidious Chapter 2, which I didn't get to see, but get to see until Blu-ray, and I still don't really think that's that good. But The Conjuring was there, and I loved The Conjuring, and um, what else? Like I actually like Texas Chainsaw 3D, which came out like right at the beginning of that year. I actually kind of like that movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's just a silly, stupid slasher movie, but it's a good, silly, stupid slasher
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
and
It's
that's
not
all it.
anything special, but it is what
Yeah,
it is.
it's all it wants to be. It is exactly what it wants to be. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre stupid sequel movie, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm always okay with a movie that knows what it's going for.
right. It
Uh,
does less damage that way.
yeah. But what were you gonna say about Hatchet?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, first of all, really enjoy the Hatchet movies, and what do you think about the new Hatchet movie coming out? Victor Crowley. It's not called Hatchet anymore. It's called. So, what do you think about the fourth Hatchet movie? And I got actually a funny story here in a minute too.
Okay. Well, just to sort of say this much, I used to be a relatively big fan of the Hatchet movies. I remember sort of the hype around the original one that came out. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember that hype, and I knew it was big and stuff like that. And the first time that I saw it, I really, really enjoyed the original Hatchet. I loved that movie. And then I saw Hatchet 2, and I like that even better. I like the second one even better than the first one. And then when I saw the third one, I think it blew all like the first two right out of the water. But here's something that I've sort of thought about lately and stuff. It's just that, the Hatchet movies to me, I think, with retrospect, hang too much on sort of the sleazy aspect. I like part 3 because it's actually less sleazy than the other two.
Mm-hmm.
It's more focused on sort of atmosphere and violence and special effects than it's focused on sex
the heavy
and
game.
showing off different women's bodies and stuff like that. And there are people who don't have a problem with that. I'm sure there's friends of ours who don't really have problems with that. You might not even have a problem with that. But to me, like, it's something that I think is too much of a crutch for those movies.
Right.
And so I kind of have to stick to my gut of saying that the third one's the best simply because it's not as sleazy. Now, as far as Victor Crowley, the new one, goes, if they go more of the atmospheric route, which I think, the first one had a lot of good atmosphere in it too. Victor Crowley freaked the crap out of me in the first one movie. I really was freaked out. And in the third one, they really harp on this sort of atmospheric thing. If they go that route with this one, I'll be really, really impressed and really happy. I've heard some good reviews of Adam Green's second most recent movie, Digging Up the Marrow. I'd like to see that movie before I pass judgment on it, but I heard it's a really good atmospheric kind of like horror movie. That's basically like sort of monsters and stuff like that. So I'm interested in seeing that, and I'm hearing some good stuff about Adam Green lately. So I'm somewhat optimistic. I'll definitely go and see Victor Crowley when it comes out.
Right. I'm very excited about Victor Crowley. I think it looks great. After seeing the commercial for it, it looks like they're going for more of like. It's funny because for me, I don't know if you've seen the teaser yet, but the teaser kind of looked like the first movie's atmosphere but darker. And I was like, "Ooh, that's cool." Taking the first movie's atmosphere but making it even more darker, making it a little bit more grayer, a little bit more gloomier. I love that. Love that. And also surprised me that they were doing another Hatchet movie because, for the longest time I was thinking that Hatchet 3 was going to be the last one. I think it was because it really is the last one in Adam Green's eyes. But with Hatchet 4 coming out, it's just, or I'm going to call it Hatchet 4 because I'm just used to calling it Hatchet. But with Victor Crowley coming out, the fourth Hatchet movie, it'll be a very cool time. Now, I don't know if it's a prequel. I don't know if it's a sequel. I don't know anything about it other than there's a new movie coming out. And I remember back on when I first started doing reviews, after Hatchet 3 came out, I did a really, really cringy video where I was like, "Oh yeah, Hatchet 4 is gonna come out," and I was saying, "Oh, it's gonna be a prequel," and I was like, I don't know why I was saying that, but I never really did think they would make a Hatchet 4. But I remember in one video I said, well, if they do come out with a Hatchet 4, it should be a prequel, and it should be about Victor Crowley's dad and all this stuff. And I was like, watching. I remember I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, that was a pretty crazy video, cringy video I did. And his dad, I'm like, his dad wasn't a killer. So it was funny. It was funny remembering that. But Hatchet 4, it looks really good. And yeah, I can't see it. I don't know when it comes out, but I'll view it when it comes out. And Digging Up the Marrow is actually a movie that I have kind of in that mental watch list. Like, I really want to watch it, I'll get to watching it eventually. I don't know if it's on Hulu or Netflix or wherever, but I'll find a way to watch it. It looks pretty good. So I'll check it out.
Yeah. My buddy Jay the Stingray really liked Digging Up the Marrow, and I like most of the stuff that he likes. So I'd say that I'd say he's kind of sold that one on me. So
yeah, I'll check it out. I'll give it a watch. I remember one of my friends said, "I dare you to watch all the Amityville movies." And I'm like, "You're funny." And he said, "Well, he said there's only 4." I'm like, "There's only 4?" try 24.
Yeah.
There's like 20 movies in that dang franchise. And half of them you can't even find anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the weird thing about the Amityville movies is that, like, so there's like 4 official movies. And then there's like a whole bunch of other like spin-offs and stuff like that just get crazy. So
there's one called the Amityville Asylum. I'm like, what does this have to do with the Amityville horror at all?
I hear the second one.
Out, but man, that makes me mad. Those sequels don't make sense whatsoever.
They don't at all. And then, like, what was it? Like, I hear the second one is actually probably the best one that they ever made. I hear the second one's actually pretty good.
It's pretty decent.
But I haven't seen it, so.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Tommy Lee Wallace did the screenplay, so I'm optimistic about that. I like Tommy Lee Wallace.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as good as, like, you know, Halloween 3 or It or anything like that, but it's all right. Okay. I didn't see 3D. I have like 1. I have 3D and I have 4. I don't have 2 yet on DVD. I watched 2 on Netflix, and I have the Amityville remake as well. I'll just say this: I like the remake a little bit more than Amityville 2, just for entertainment wise. I thought the Amityville remake was a faster paced movie, but you know, people have said that it's a great movie. That's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just, it's all right. It's decent.
Based on your review and a few other people's review, I actually bought the Amityville Horror remake because I'm actually not too big a fan of the original. I mean, it's all right, but I'm interested to see the remake. I bought it this past October and just didn't get a chance to watch it. But
it's one of the better remakes that came out around that big slew of remakes that came out that time. You saw and a couple other remakes. It was more on the stronger side, at least for me.
Well, good then. I'm interested in it. I got into a kick where I really wanted to watch movies from like the mid 2000s period, like 2004, 5, 6, and 7. Like I was really in the mood for movies like that, and then just like I bought a whole bunch of them, that never got a chance to watch all of them. So now I've got all these like mid 2000s horror movies that I feel a little bit regretful for buying, just sitting in my watch list, like in my stack over there. And here's what I can say. I know I ain't watching it on Christmas break, so now I've got too much stuff to watch this Christmas break, man. I mean,
yeah, I might pop in Chainsaw 2 after this.
Oh yeah,
over there.
I was looking at an article recently, and it was about Canon Films' best movies, the best movies that Canon Films ever came out with. And this guy was being really like cynical. Like, this is one of those guys who clearly doesn't get what a Canon film really is. Where like Canon movies, you know, they don't have to be like, not everything has to be Gone with the Wind. You know, everything can have a different purpose. Canon Films' purpose was to make movies that dudes like to watch. You know, that's basically what their purpose was. They were like, you know what? We're going to go out there. We're going to get like Sylvester Stallone. We're going to give him a whole bunch of steroids. We're going to make him like pump himself up.
We're going to get Dennis Hopper to play a crazy cowboy character in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Like that is exactly what Canon was all about. They were mixing all of these like sort of old guard stuff with like the new action movie stuff. But I was looking at that list, and their highest rated movie on there was actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. So even these frou-frou art critics really like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Because, I don't know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I have just sort of recently realized is like one of the most underappreciated masterpieces of horror ever made.
Absolutely. I'd agree with that, man. It's so underused, underrated, untalked about. I mean, I just remember when I seen it, I was like, this is a really fun movie. And then I went to go on like watch some reviews for it. There wasn't many. And I was like, wow. And if there was bad reviews, I'm like, this is not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be the first movie, and that's why I think people got so caught off guard with it. Like, well, it's funny. Leatherface is more wimpy, a little bit more skimpy, not skimpy, but wimpy, a little bit more like a nervous character. And people really weren't, they were used to that very, sinister, serious character. And then you got the new movie or the second movie where it was completely like for comedy reasons. And Tobe Hooper's point for the sequel was to not be serious, to not be the first movie, to be as far from the first movie as it possibly could be, but still entertaining, still good, still a well-made movie, but not to copy himself because he knew he couldn't top the first movie because it's the first, it's a legendary movie. And I think that was the best way to go because we got 3. I love 3, but 3 I don't think is as good as 2. We got 4, which is a train wreck. We got the remake, which still wasn't as good as the first movie. Like, we got all these movies that still don't top the first movie. But the reason I love Part 2 so much is because it doesn't try that. It tries to do its own thing. I love that about Part 2. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. It's so underutilized.
Have you seen it on Blu-ray at all in any way, shape, or form?
You mean the second movie?
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, I actually have this version of it. Picked it up.
Man, that is a really good release.
Yeah, I picked it up for like $10.
Yeah,
$10.
It's
for Part 2.
It's packed with special features. Michael Felcher.
Yeah, I love it.
Michael Felcher did this great documentary that's on there, I think, about it. Like this really long documentary in several parts. It's just so good.
The cutting room floor that runs in the family.
Yeah.
We got 2 commentaries, trailers. Does it have gallery? It might have a gallery. I don't know. Yeah. It's got great picture and great sound though. It's a great transfer.
I was about to ask you because like I love the colors in that movie. Just like deep reds and blues.
Like I think Tobe Hooper also said, tone wise, let's make this, and atmosphere wise and mood wise, let's make this look completely different from the first movie. We're gonna put like this underground layer with this deep sort of bright red color and put all these lights up so it has yellows and blues over here. Like there's so much I love about this movie. I actually might revisit this movie, and it's up to you, Steve, if one day in the future, if we could do maybe a discussion on like Part 2, or maybe do a discussion about underrated sequels and probably include this on there. But I know one day I want to try and include this in a stream or something like that because this movie needs to be talked about more. This movie is underrated as heck. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's really, really good. But man, we got off topic quick, didn't we?
Yeah. Let's went from Child's Play to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But like we can't really talk about Cult because neither of us have seen it, right?
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to ask you, like, what are some thoughts right now on Cult going into the movie? Your stance of the movie right now, like, where do you stand at with Cult, Chucky, right now?
Well, I've told you before. Can you still hear me all right?
No, it's a little muffled.
Okay. Sorry. So here's my thing. I've told you before, it's probably like next to Star Wars, it was probably my most anticipated movie of 2017. And I just haven't had the chance to watch it. And I feel bad about that because like I was super excited for it at the time. And I was like rewatching all the old movies and stuff like that. But after the reviews have come out, I'm going into it with even more cautious optimism than I had before because, I'm hearing some good things about it and some bad things about it. From what I've heard, the first half of it is really good, and the second half of it kind of just sort of turns into a stupid slasher movie, which, frankly, I'm kind of okay with. It's, as much as I like the Child's Play franchise, it's still just a killer doll,
Right.
Nothing has to be high cinema for me, frankly, as far as this is concerned.
With a plot like that,
Yeah, like that's the reason I was so impressed with Curse of Chucky, because it's got so much, you know, legitimate artistry combined with this, like, kind of a, kind of basic slasher movie. I hear this one gets a little wild and woolly near the end, and that they add in some stuff that might be a little questionable, stuff like that. So I'm still interested in seeing it. I might even watch it this weekend or something. Who knows? But for now, I'm kind of content with just like I'm kind of content in the fact that, like, I didn't see it right off. But I'm glad that it's on Netflix. And I think that's a good sort excuse me. I think that's a good sort of distribution thing for them to do. I think they should start making the Chucky movies under a Netflix label, really. I think that's a good idea, because Netflix has enough money so that they can, fund a, $3 or $4 million Chucky movie every year if they want to, But
right.
I don't know. And I've heard that they're still toying with the idea of making a remake after this, and Don Mancini's really interested in doing stuff like that. Because I feel like they're just going to end up going the way that, like, Clive Barker is always going with the Hellraiser franchise, which is that, they keep on saying that they're going to do this big, important remake, and it's just never going to happen. I feel like it's the same darn thing with this movie. So, I don't know. But the difference is that I think almost all of the movies in the Child's Play franchise are better than, like, 99% of the Hellraiser franchise. So,
For good reasons.
for very good reasons. Very good reasons. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion on Cult of Chucky. I'm interested in seeing it. I'm not as interested as I was, but I'm still wanting to see it, maybe before the year's out. So
right. Yeah, I mean, with me, when I first heard about it, I was very hyped about it. Still am. I can't wait to see it. I've heard like a lot of mixed opinions on it, so it should be fun to go in there with an open mind and sort of see what I can see what my thoughts are on the movie. Couple of the ideas that I have heard about, the ones that I have heard about, I was like, kind of like, nah. I mean, that's a little out there, for a Chucky movie. But I think overall it should be a good movie. I know it'll be better than Sea of Chucky. At least I hope it is. I really do. But I'm very excited to see it. I should be able to watch it sometime this week, maybe sometime next week. I'm not sure. So I'll give it a watch as soon as I can. And should be a fun watch. Can't wait to see it. Very hyped about it. But to close out the live stream, what are your thoughts on the Chucky franchise and sort of like your closing statements on it and just the franchise as a whole?
Well, this might be getting on to a little bit of a personal level, but some people might already know this. I recently had somewhat of a crisis with my opinions on horror and dark fiction and stuff like that. I'm trying to decide, with my personal morality and my spiritual identity, like what I should do as far as my interests. Because we talked a little bit about this earlier.
Right.
We mentioned this a little bit with a friend of ours who was going to live cast with us. We both kind of alluded to the fact that we were Christians, and would you still describe yourself as a Christian, Nate? Or
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I don't want to mislabel you, but but like I would certainly label myself as a Christian, and I do believe that there are certain things that Christians should do and things that Christians shouldn't. And despite this, I do still feel a draw towards certain horror movies. I feel like the Child's Play movies are somewhat some of the movies that I can still enjoy, because generally, at least in the first three movies, Chucky's always a villain. the religion of voodoo is virtually mocked throughout the entire series,
right?
Which I still consider to be somewhat of an evil. But you know, it's mocked throughout the whole series. Chucky's always a villain, at least in the first 3 movies, and it's obvious to me the times when the franchise is like the least effective is when Chucky isn't really much of a villain, when he's more of like an anti-hero. That's when he really kind of starts to be not effective, and that's when the movies start to be not effective. So for some reason I still feel like these movies somewhat are okay with me as far as the ones I can watch. Now, as far as my personal opinions of it, besides the idea that they're kind of okay for me to watch, I've become a much bigger Chucky fan since I saw Curse of Chucky. I was able to go back. I watched more of the movies over again. And, I mean, this year I even watched most of them over again for the release of Cult of Chucky. You know, they're pretty basic morality tales. You know, it's sort of anti-consumerist. I wouldn't say necessarily anti-capitalist, but certainly anti-consumerist, and they've got a very specific point of view to them. They're very well-made movies, generally. I think the first 3 are really well-made. They're memorable. They got good characters. They're rewatchable like crazy. Like, I could throw on, like, Child's Play 2 basically any time, I feel. Like, it's just a fun movie. The first Child's Play movie I love, too. I don't know. There's something about them that I really like. I like the characters. I like this story specifically of, like, Andy Barclay and all that stuff. And, I don't know. There's something about it that I enjoy. And I think it might just be the fact that, like, when I was a kid, they talked about Chucky. It's kind of like that same thing with Freddy and Jason. Kids on the playground would talk about Freddy and Jason, and they'd talk about Chucky. It's the same thing, you know. They talk about these people, so it feels sort of ingrained in your system. And that might be the reason why I actually like them so much, because I actually did end up seeing those movies. I didn't just, you know, cringe at the stories and kind of freak out when I was a kid. I actually ended up going and watching them, and, you know, I had a good time with them. And, you know, the original Child's Play is tied to a lot of really good memories for me, so it'll always hold a special place in my heart for that. So those are basically my opinions on them. I like the series. It's not quite Friday the 13th, and it's not quite A Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's up there. Some of the movies I think are even more well made than most of those movies are. So that's my opinion. How about you, Nate?
Cool. Closing thoughts on the franchise for me. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I agree with a lot of Steve's points. The movies are they're very fun to watch. They usually go by at a very fast pace. Pacing is not an issue in these movies. Not one of them is very boring, at least for me. The franchise, I noticed, has a lot of high points, a lot of low points. It's definitely a very, like I said, diverse franchise. Every movie kind of feels like its own movie. It's not like trying to copy a certain movie in the franchise. They're all doing their own thing. Every movie has sort of like its own fan base. Even Sea of Chucky. But, you know, I like the franchise because it's one of those franchises that I can sit down, pick any movie almost out of this franchise, and have a fun time with it. And it's quick watch, basic stories, really great characters. And the franchise, I think, is one of the most important franchises in horror films because it shows that you can take this idea and do so many things. And it's a very positive part of this franchise is that it can take this one idea and expand upon it and do these different storylines, and it can still keep going. Actually, if you look at it, Chucky is doing what Halloween isn't doing right now, what Freddy Krueger isn't doing right now, or what Friday the 13th isn't doing right now. Leatherface actually catch up to Chucky because he's actually got some movies coming out. But you know, there's a lot of franchises right now that are not active. And this franchise is still going. It's still making good movies like Curse of Chucky and potentially called Chucky. And I really respect that. I respect what these movies do, what they are, and that they are a fun time. They are enjoyable movies. That they're just bottom line very entertaining films. And the franchise, I think, rocks. So yeah, this has been our franchise discussion on Child's Play Part 2, wrapping up the reviews or wrapping up our viewpoints on the Child's Play films. If you guys want to see our opinions on the first couple of movies, I'll probably put a link in the description below when I get done editing this. And also, I'll leave a link to Steve's channel. Check out his channel. That's some really awesome stuff. I want to say thank you, Steve, for being on the broadcast. It was a fun time, and I really appreciate it, man.
No problem. No problem. Thank you for allowing me to be on here. It's always a fun time to come talk about stuff, and definitely about something like the Child's Play franchise, which we seem to both really enjoy.
Right. It was a blast. It was fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And that's pretty much it. The Explorer 4 is out. See you guys later. Ta-ta!